I'm just going to bring you up with me. We're trying to be cute. They don't know what. So I just want to say that this gentleman just broke open my heart in the first 10 seconds I met him, and I hope he's about to do the same to you. And if you've already met him, has already done the same to you. He is one of the most beautiful energy, love, consciousness that I've just been able to kind of come into contact with recently. And I just want you to know that I loved him so much, and so did Reverend Paul, who almost ran in front of me to make sure he met Nimo too, who is not here today because he's coming home from Italy, and sad to miss it. But we want you to know that we had such a deep connection, and this man gave us your heart. He just gave us his heart and said, yeah, I can do that. And he came. So he's here for you to enjoy, I'm choked up, to get to be with and enjoy the loving that he's carrying through the world in so many ways, in so many places. And I hope he's going to tell us some about his work and also just play and sing with us too. Yay. Thank
you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Sunday.
Yes.
Happy life.
Happy life.
Thank you, Catherine. And we synchronously met a few weeks ago in Kansas, and I have the blessing to be here with you today. So thank you so much for being a part of this community. Dale, thank you for bringing us into that space. Yes, caring, sharing when it's hard to do. That's the work right there. And thank you for reminding us that. Ubuntu. We are one, and there's so many challenges. Not today only. There have been challenges on our planet since the beginning of time. So nothing is different from the darkness we might observe or hear or see today than it was in the past. I feel like we have one goal, one role in this process, which is how do we expand our heart? How do we expand our definition of who we love and who we care for, and who, when suffers, hurts us inside, right? Our family, what we call our family. Our family is our children and our relatives. How do we expand that definition is, to me, what I think one of our goals should be while we're alive. Because ultimately, if we look at all the suffering that's in existence, it's because we all in the planet, don't have the same definition of family, right? But if we could expand that boundary, and it's not some huge task, it's just expanding it one person beyond what you currently have, right? Like starting one human being at a time. Can we look at each other? Can we look down the street? Can we start to use our heart to control our eyes and our mind, right? So to get to a space where I see somebody and I can say that's my brother and that's my sister, and maybe not biologically or scientifically, but deep down in my heart, I can hug that person, I can serve that person, I can love that person. I feel like this is the journey, and I know that's why we're all here at CCL, why we come and spend this time together to practice that together, right? So what I want to do is start with a song. But what I love about this song, and when we're doing it together, is one, we'll sing a little together, but in our culture, I live in India. I've been living in India for the last 15 years. I grew up in Los Angeles, but I moved to India to work on a service project that just sucked me in, and I've been stuck there now for the past 15 years and feel very blessed also. But you guys hear the word namaste, right? This idea of if we can look at each other's hearts and just bow to that heart, that intention, and see the deepest regard and respect and love and joy in that person. So in this song, we're going to go, when I lift my hands up, I just want you guys to sing along. To my people, yeah, because this is we're sending this love out to everyone. Okay, so when I put my hands up, say, to my people, yeah. That's all. Okay. No more difficult lyrics. Okay, so just here we go. 1, 2, 3.
To my people, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do that 3 times. On the 4th one, we're going to go, to my people, yeah. And I want you to do a, namaste type of posture, and look at somebody in the room, eye to eye if you can, and say, I bow down to your heart of gold. And that's all we're going to do. So we'll do to my people 3 times. On the 4th to my people, it goes, to my people, yeah, I bow down to your heart of gold. Right? So this is going to be with music. Here we go. You guys ready? Okay. All right, let's try this. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. To my people, you're my soul, you're my roots, you're my family, my life, and my truth. To my people, you're everybody, every being, every life, every moment, everything. To my people, you're my God, you're my soul, you're the one that pushes me to help me grow. To my people, I bow down to your heart of gold. To my people, you're my soul, you're my roots, you're my family, my life, and my truth. To my people, you're everybody, every being, every life, every moment, everything. To my people, you're my God, you're my soul, you're the one that pushes me to help me. To my people, I bow down to your heart of gold. From the day that we were born and Mom hugged us with warmth, we grew because we knew we had all your support. From the fams to the friends, your love was medicine. You've given us the strength to rise when we would sin. The knowledge that we gained through every single mistake. But you never backed down. Through this, you taught me faith. Every single one of you, through being you, you do. Find a way to spread love through truth, through me and you. It's because of you I grew, because of you I flew, because of you we made it through without residue. Because of you we all have a home to come to. You're a blessing to us all. So keep just being you. To my people, you're my soul, you're my roots, you're my family, my life, and my truth. To my people, you're everybody, every being, every life, every moment, everything. To my people, God, you're my soul, you're the one that pushes me to help me grow. To my people, I bow down to your heart of gold. Last time to my people, you're my soul, you're my roots, you're my family, my life, and my truth. To my people, to everybody, every being, every life, every moment, everything. To my people, you're my God, you're my soul, you're the one that pushes me to help me grow. To my people, I bow down to your heart of gold. You're my people. Thank you. Big round of applause for each other. One of the traditions I love in the culture in India is this, like, the more that we can work that lower back and bow down, it's like lower back pain, it's like kind of equivalent to humility, because you the more you bow, the more humble we become, right? So I love that, and I love another tradition, which is for our elders. Many times what we do is we bow down and touch their feet. And I know in the Japanese traditions as well, there's a lot of bowing. But I love that concept, how do we bring that sense of humility and respect to the space? So today, within the time frame that we have, I wanted to share just a little about, it was a little back and forth with Catherine and I, just, what could be shared, and a little of this journey. We called it the unexpected journey, because for me, it definitely was unexpected where my life took me. I grew up and was born in Los Angeles, and I had a dream to be in Santa Monica Beach on a beach house at this age. I should have been there by now. Somehow I took a wrong turn and I couldn't find my way back. And I'm like in this arid desert city that's about 100 degrees average the whole year. And like I said, I'm stuck. I want to stay there for now. But I'm wondering, how did I get here? And that's a little of the journey I was going to share with you. And it's given me the most, I think, food for my soul. And it's been through serving, and that's been the blessing. So I'm going to share a
Good
little.
morning.
In 2000, so I graduated. I went to school here, actually, in Philadelphia, UPenn. So that was amazing. When I looked up Moorestown, I'm like, no, can't be right. It can't be near Camden. No, Philly? What? We're going home again. So it was really exciting to come back here. I graduated in 2000. After that, I went to New York to work for a couple years. And obviously 2000 and 2002, something happened in between those 2 years. And I was living right next to the World Trade Center. I was working at one of the World Trade Center buildings, the American Express building, which was right directly, 50 feet across from the North Tower. So my life was really just that whole area every day. I walked through the World Trade Courtyard every day for 2 years, walked back. I still remember September 10th, there was a concert series going on, walking back home, enjoying that, going back through the courtyard, going home, and things changed the next morning. And when those buildings fell and we all ran, we all ended up on Staten Island, ended up in Pennsylvania for a week until our company was able to call us all back in. So much happened, obviously, but the question for me definitely arose, what am I doing with my life? And because I was physically involved with seeing the suffering, people jumping out of a 90-story floor just to save themselves from burning, but to die peacefully in 1 second instead of burning. And there was so much that triggered, like, how am I going to justify what just happened? And the question arose, well, try to find more purpose while you're alive, because we don't know when we're going to leave. And later, 8 months later, in March of 2002, a group of children came to perform in New Jersey. My middle school friend from Los Angeles calls and says, Nimo, you got to go check this show out. I'm like, what? And she said, it's in New Jersey, there's a show called ICTA, which means unity. And the show was on Dr. King and Gandhi's life mission of trying to bring unity amongst human citizens. And I was blown away. 14 children from some of the most impoverished parts of India somehow come on a flight to America and perform a show on this message of unity. I was blown away, and it planted a deep seed in me that ended up triggering a whole shift. And 5 years later from that moment, I went to volunteer at this nonprofit in India, based in the Mahatma Gandhi ashram, which is what Mahatma Gandhi started 100 years ago when he moved back to India from South Africa. And since then, it's been a wild adventure ride, internally, actually. Just this process of trying to rewire who I had become from going to business school at Wharton to Wall Street to becoming a musician and doing all those things to saying, I'm not feeling fulfilled, there's got to be a better path. And it became this inner journey that really became the real journey for me. And there were 3 things that really, like when I decided I'm going to close down, I had an animation studio at that time, I had a music group, and yet I was feeling very unfulfilled. There were 3 things that led me to say, if I'm going to rewire myself, it's going to require some work. And it was these 3 things. It was 1, I wanted to simplify life again. 2, I wanted to work on myself, which would require for me to experiment. Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography was called The Story of My Experiments with Truth. Mm-hmm. His life journey was a series of experiments, because how do we otherwise work on ourselves? And nothing's ever perfect, and we got to try, and then things fail, and we work. And so the journey of this idea for myself, when I moved to India, I was like, okay, how do I experiment? How do I rewire? Because obviously if I wasn't happy with material success, then I got issues inside that I need to clean up. And the last thing was service. Mahatma Gandhi has this beautiful quote. He says, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And I love that, it's like once you start letting go of this like self-agenda, things start opening up in us. And we start finding some deeper satisfaction and some deeper joy, and we're not like always trying to push people aside, because when we want something for ourselves is when we push, but when we're doing for others, we're like, oh yeah, go ahead. And this, these learnings start arising more and more. Thoreau has this beautiful quote, simplicity for me was when I decided to go serve, I got rid of everything I owned at that time, except for my money. I knew I'll need that, because I was going to go serve and I wasn't going to make any money, so I was like, okay, how long can I live off the money that I have? So I knew that was important, but everything else, I was trying to understand what my relationship was with material possessions. And simplifying helped me realize how light you could feel And I was like, wow, I don't need all this. And even though a lot of my friends are millionaires now, I feel so light and blessed as if I am that inside, you know? And so simplification was a big part. I remember my dad even asked me, like, you know that if you're going to walk this path, you're not going to have all those things that you want and that everybody around you has. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. Let me see how I feel. If I don't feel good about it, then I'll go back to, you know, seeking all that. But simplification was a big part. And then, like I was talking about, the practices. You know, treating life as a laboratory. That if I'm feeling anger and I want to cultivate patience or compassion, then it's not just praying for it, it's practicing it. And how do I practice it? I remember one of the big things I felt when I was moving into the space at the Gandhi ashram. Mahatma Gandhi talks a lot about nonviolence, and obviously Dr. King learned a lot of his practices through the practices of Mahatma Gandhi. But for me, when I was thinking about nonviolence, I'm like, where does that actually stem from? Why didn't Gandhi or King say love first? Why are they saying nonviolence? And for me, the research led to realizing that nonviolence may mean starting with a mind that's not violent, starting with a mind that's not judging. And so non-judgment became a practice that was really, really triggering inside of me because I felt like I was judging everybody and myself. And so that was one big practice I started kind of digging into. And that the taming of the judgment was a long journey. And it still is. I still see my mind pop up, but it's less. You know? I still see the mind kind of like, you know, not in agreement or feeling like there's a difference in alignment of values or actions, but the awareness of it and not wanting to do with it and the forgiveness to myself and to somebody else is quicker. And that brings a lot of peace versus in this constant space of comparison or judgment or this is good and this is bad. So there was a lot of practices that I started putting in. Wealth was also important because as we all know, I think when we talk about wealth, the first thing is cha-ching, we hear that. But there's so many other forms of wealth, right? And to live a life stuck in the mindset that wealth is a bank account could be it's a good goal to have that, but it could lead to a lot of suffering as well, right? But when we realize that there's other forms of wealth, spiritual wealth, emotional wealth, physical health, and wealth, and all the elements of that, then I think so for me, one of the experiments I had to do moving to India was how much am I dependent on actual money? And what I decided to do, I did this, and I shared this in Kansas, but I started keeping track of every penny I spent on every small thing. So if I took a taxi ride, a rickshaw ride, what we call in India, and it was 10 rupees, which might be like, I don't even know, like 12 cents here, I would write it down. I did this for 2 years. And I bucket and categorized everything. And every week I would then tally it up every month. I just wanted to see my patterns of where I was spending money. And I started realizing, wow, I don't really need that much to be happy. And I'd have categories like entertainment, travel 1, travel 2, travel 3, whether it's like just a bus ride or a rental car or a plane, really trying to understand my patterns. And then that helped me feel free again. That, wow, I don't need to be a millionaire. I don't need to have so much money. I just need enough. And then there's a lot of joy after that, And empathy has always been a big thing. When a lot of people say when you go to India you see so much suffering, or if you go to Africa you see so much suffering, but instead of just suffering or feeling sympathy, how do I cultivate a sense of empathy so I can connect and feel the wisdom that exists in those communities? And there were, these are all just a list of different types of experiments, but one of, like for example, a fun experiment that helped me learn so much was I went 24 hours blindfolded in a blind school that we run. And there was no sympathy for the children that I cultivated. All I cultivated was respect and admiration. That these children, like every step I took, I was like scared. And then these kids are, no, come on. I'm like, no, slow down. I'm like scared to take a step. And they're just like running with me. They take me to the toilet, teaching me how to eat. I was like, and Indian food's kind of sloppy if you don't know what you're eating. you know, and it's like just eating that. And I was like, man, these kids are amazing. And the sense is we play cricket. It's like baseball over there, from here, cricket over there. So the way they play with balls with whistles and with bells in them. So, you know, they're making use of their hearing. So you go, and as the sound comes strong enough, they know when to swing, and it's rolled on the ground. I think they might have done it 15 times to me. I never hit it once. And when these kids are playing, I'm just hearing whack, whack, whack. And it's, again, just like the idea of, as, you know, these small little experiments started helping me learn about how amazing the people are around me. And you know, we did, on my birthday, I remember, maybe this might have been 10 years ago, one of my elder mentors, he's like, for your birthday, we're going to go clean human defecation. and he knew that I'd be up for it. But what was powerful, we went into one of the slum communities, and it was where, you know, women and men both defecate. But women have to go further into the bush because it's a very, you know, it's such a sensitive thing. And they feel unsafe. And yet when we went there to go in there, you start realizing how prickly the thorns are inside those spaces. They go in the nighttime because they don't want to be seen. And all you start realizing is you start developing a sense of empathy, what they must be going through and how strong they are in these communities. And these are the women that we serve, that some of our family have, you know, we're wearing heart pins. These are some of the women that are making these heart pins. And you just start serving from a different space. You're humbled constantly. And suffering no longer becomes something you're sympathizing towards, but you just respect, and you start realizing how much it's your responsibility to be of support to that, you know, which is different than saying the world is broken and I need to fix it, to say, you know, there are challenges, but I need to surrender to serving it, you know, and being a part of a small part of helping somewhere in one nook or cranny of this planet, instead of feeling that it's, you know, so tough. So I love this quote: service is external meditation, and meditation is internal service. And so what I think for me, as I started going into this space over the years, is realizing it's not just helping others. The focus needs to be on purifying my own mind and heart while serving. If I'm serving and if it's not cleaning up my heart or it's not cleaning my mind, then I don't feel like it's worth it. But if through the process and the journey of service, as we all are doing here in some way or another, if we're becoming humbler, if we're finding more joy, if we're smiling a little more or whatever, or hugging a little more, if service is leading to that, then you've got the perfect benchmark that you're on the right path. You know, and I think that's very important. That it's a two-way road to do service, but also to make sure that we're healing ourselves through that process. We're also growing and learning. And this is a quote that I really love by Mahatma Gandhi: that in service we lose ourselves, but we find ourselves. You know, I'll share with you a fun little journey that I went on. So I told you about that show that I had seen in New Jersey in 2002. So when I moved there, my goal was to do a similar thing. I love children, and I thought, okay, what's the best way for me to offer myself? And it was, well, I would love to create a musical as well. And so we went on this journey. It took me about a year. I thought I'd be there for a year, and I'd be like, okay, my volunteer time is up, and then I'll go back to doing whatever I felt. But it took me a year just to select 16 kids and, you know, go through a process of connecting with the community, learning what it means to be doing grassroots work. And these communities are what we call slum communities. They're migrants from rural areas who seek to make better income in the cities, but squat on land. And those squatted lands eventually become a slum area with no sanitation, no plumbing, no water, no individual water. Food, you know, everything is very, very scarce and very dense. So here, let's say in Moorestown, where your density is maybe 1,000 people per square kilometer, right? Over there, it's about 100,000 people per square kilometer. So you can imagine how cramped up people are living, you know, shack to shack, bricks and plastic and things covering their homes. So it's in that type of space that it took me time to learn. What does it mean to be a part of these communities? And eventually I was able to select 16 children from 5 of the different communities. And we went on this amazing journey to create a show. This is 8 of the girls, Chamni, Nikita, Deepmala, Bharti, Krishna, Asha, Payal, and Priyanka. And 8 of the boys, Devram, Vicky, Nitesh, Dharmaji, Bhavani, Gaurang, Sanjay, and Vishal. And we went on this 2-year journey together. And my intention was that it's gonna be a journey of self-growth for us. We're gonna create a show that's some type of ultimate end goal, but really the focus is gonna be on these 2 words: small things. And if I were to sum up like my journey in India up to now, one quote that hits me the hardest is a quote that Mother Teresa was quoted for. And she said, "We may not all be able to do great things all the time, but for sure we can do small things with great love." Right? And I think that's so applicable to all of us everywhere, wherever we are. And I wanted that to be the goal of this journey. I didn't want the kids to get in this mindset that we're going to go perform this big show. Instead, how do we take each day at a time, nurture each relationship, nurture the family of the spirit of us, and at the same time use the creative process to explore and enjoy. And so we went on this journey. Here's Chandni on the left, cleaning a bathroom. That's Gaurang's father on the right during a parent meeting. But one of the commitments I gave to Malika Ben, who was one of the choreographers, we were practicing at her dance academy, was that we wanted to clean your guys' toilets and restrooms every day after practice. And the reason was, for me, was 1, we give back. We're receiving, how do we give back? And 2, how do we continually stay humble along the journey? Because it's easy, once you're on stage, it's easy to start making up stories about who you are and who you think you are. But when you're on stage and then you're scrubbing urinals, oh yeah, you're getting the good stuff right there. The reality, right? And so it was beautiful. So the boys and I would scrub and clean, and it was, I just have memories of no guys like get up in here, nope, right down there. And for that to be normal for them, right? To be okay with that. And other kids would go across to the park and clean the park, and finally we'd come together at the park to do prayer and a circle of sharing and connect in that way. So these small things really mattered. This was important. You can maybe see the shoes and the sandals in a straight line. Every time you go into that dance academy, you'll see that the teachers, and in India we wear slippers more than anything actually. So the dance teachers there, what they do is they come up before they go onto the stage here, they would just flick their feet, right? So the slippers are, and you got this pile of slippers, and then they go up. And here, myself and the kids, we learned that we don't want to do the flick. Let's respect the space, right? And for us to slowly realize that is important. Your choreography, and your singing, and your acting, cool, you can work on that. But if you don't get this straight, then all of that is meaningless. So small things were so important. We would do little, cleaning drives on the streets, even though they would get dirty the next day. People would ask us, why are we doing that? And we said, just to work on ourselves and clean ourselves through the process, and serve in small ways. Have little slumber parties at my apartment, all 17 of us. What the goal was is to use this whole opportunity to expose our children, to learn and to grow. So it goes way beyond the idea of creating just a musical. This is at a pharmaceutical company, just helping our children understand how do things get created in the world. 90% of all the stuff we use are created in factories. And so trying to understand that. Here's Krishna watering plants. Here's Nikita and Bharti and Vicky burying a squirrel that had passed away in the garden. This insect that Asha was really scared of, all insects, I use that example, but we actually skipped practice one day because one of our girls, Asha, we found out was super sensitive and scared of insects. So instead of going into practice, and there's a pretty tight timeline and schedule when you're working on a musical production, but it's like sacrificing that because we're going to make friends with insects today. But small things, like to me that was the journey, and if we think about that, it's relatable to all of our lives, right? How many times do we find ourselves skipping to the big to-do list items and forgetting about a small conversation? Or I love this idea, some Navy SEAL, I think commander once said, always do your bed after you wake up. I forgot who, but I love this idea. Start with a small thing in your day, because when you do that, it's going to lead to you paying attention to the next small thing. And being aware of that constant process throughout your day is so, so important. Here's Vishal giving, we would do little acts of kindness as we're working on this kindness challenge. How many of us are in this kindness challenge week here? We got a few people, I think. I think it'll be shared a little more over time, but this idea, purposefully, it might not be the thing that we had planned, but if we say, no, we're going to take time out to cultivate our compassion muscle, to go do something to bring a smile to somebody's face. That is kind of what we wanted to do along this journey. Oh yeah, and then there was an actual musical that we created. I forgot about that. No, but the intention was to use this journey, right, that we had to walk the walk and walk the talk at the same time instead of just putting on a show. And we eventually went through this. We ended up performing. There were two different groups actually. This was a group in 2012 and this was a group in 2019. But it was miracle. One of the lessons I think I learned is when we go into the small things, even though you don't believe it, and you may think that I'm not paying attention to the bigger picture. When we really put our heart into the small things, the bigger picture sometimes just takes care of itself. I could never have, even coming from Wharton School of Business, put a business plan together to take 16 children from these communities across the world on a world tour. I could never have done that. It would never have worked out. It's almost impossible to pull that off. And the U.S. Embassy, first of all, is like, terrorism and child trafficking, two of the ants, you don't get visas, right? So that's the interview process. So we fall under a very big section right there, right? Children and children without their parents. But somehow, I think, and I look back and I'm like, when you put your heart into the small things, the big things are taken care of. Two of the big things, passports and visas for kids that don't even have addresses, and $250,000 fundraising to do a 2-month world tour with 25 people. And I couldn't have imagined, nobody can take credit for it. It's way beyond us. But what we can take credit for is that it wasn't about all that. It was about the journey. And how do we, in whatever elements of our lives, whatever we're doing, whatever the process, the path, the challenges, how do we focus on the process? How do we focus on the relationships? How do we focus on cultivating those elements of love? And I think from that is what happened in my observation is that people started feeling the energy of that. When volunteers would come or friends or people would ask or they might even see Facebook postings or whatever. And they realized that here the relationship was first. The children were first for this project. Their life journey, their learning, their growing. And then eventually a volunteer base in the US and the UK just started emerging to want to put something like this together. And it was really, really a blessing. I'll give one of the highlights because this has to do with one of the songs we're going to be singing right now together. Okay, but one of the highlights of my life, I would say, was we ended up getting visas miraculously. That whole visa story is already a big miracle story. And we ended up going on tour, across America. And in Los Angeles, we stayed at my mom and dad's home. And it was amazing. We had 25 people, 16 kids, 8 mentors. We're all sleeping here and there, wherever. And about 50, 60 volunteers and just friends and family across Los Angeles, they came for prayer and dinner one of the nights. And so right before we're having prayer in the evening time, everybody's gathering, all the adults are gathering, and I look around, I'm like, where are the kiddos? 16 kids in a house? Oh yeah, you can feel it, you know it when it's happening, it's all noise. But I couldn't find them. And so I looked around and I went upstairs and I went finally in the guest room. These 16 kids are sitting in a circle with somber faces, kind of sad almost. Halfway across the world, getting standing ovations in front of 1,000 people audiences, Disneyland, White House, Empire State Building. They've seen all of America more than most Americans have seen. Culture shock to the fullest. The most intense experience probably one could imagine without their parents, and FaceTime, and we didn't have all that. I think we were Skyping once every 2 weeks or something like that at that time, 2012. And yet, somehow, during this festive kind of evening, they ended up in a circle by themselves without an adult, which I had never seen up to that point. And I said, what's going on? I started laughing because I was kind of like, why are you guys here? And they're like, they call me Nimo, sir. In India, teachers are called sirs. And Nimo, sir, we're dealing with an issue, and we'll deal with it ourselves, and we'll come downstairs in 5 minutes. And I was blown away. For 2 years, we had sat in a circle every practice twice a day. Before practice started, circle, sharing, and prayer. After practice ended, and after we're done with cleaning and all that, circle, prayer, and sharing. And I never realized the power of that circle until that moment. I always thought I was forcing the circle upon them. That I thought, this is how we have to do it. We have to share, we have to talk, we have to hear each other, listen to each other more than anything. And when they pulled this off on their own, taking each other upstairs, I'm just trying to visualize how it actually unfolded. It taught me that we have no clue, especially with our kiddos, when and where we're planting seeds. And when those seeds will bear fruit, if they will ever bear fruit, And so that was a very powerful experience for me, and it has to do a lot with this song that I was able to write with my friend Daniel Naiman, whom I think many of you have heard his music, and that story is also a beautiful one. How we connected with it revolved around this song. But I'd love for us to sing this together, and I'm going to ask Dale to join us so she can kind of get us in that space as well. But I love this quote by Nelson Henderson. The true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit. When we give of ourselves without expecting of anything in return, there's so much that emerges from that, And I think there's such a life lesson from this. So I want us to sing this song together, Planting Seeds. We're going to sing it once without the music, and then we'll put the music. So you got the words here. And even if you guys feel like it, we're going to get our hands involved here. But it's going to go like this. Whatever grows will grow. Whatever dies will die. Whatever works will work. Whatever flies will fly. Whatever fails will fail. What's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. So let's try that together once, and then we'll do it with the music. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Whatever grows will grow. Whatever dies will die. Whatever works will work. Whatever flies will fly. Whatever fails will fail. What's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing more. All right, here we go. I spent a long time running. I never knew then what I know now. That the fruits, they always come in, but you can't go around just knocking them down. It takes a long time to show in. We plant the seeds, then we look at them now. But the roots are always growing, no matter if I'm there or never around. 3, 2, 1. Whatever grows will grow. Whatever dies will die. Whatever works will work. Whatever flies will fly. Whatever fails will fail. What's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds. It's like clay pots and molding, sitting next to your path, trying to unfold it. Wait for the fruits to fall down towards you, let it go, and now you're flowing, feeling quite gorgeous. Just take steps away instead of towards it. What a rush, feeling freedom with nothing to hold. We've been taught what you touch will always turn to gold, but now we're learning we let it go, it overflows with no credit to take, because no credit is owed. The higher power working deeper where the seeds are sowed. When the seeds are true, they're seeds of gold, but the real gold is joy when life starts to flow. When it does, you just smile, because now you know. I spent a long time running, I never knew then what I know now. That the fruits, they always come in, but you can't go around just knocking them down. It takes a long time to show in. We plant the seeds, then we look at them now. But the roots are always growing, no matter if I'm there or never around. All right, here we go. We're gonna sing this 3 times together. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Whatever grows will grow. Whatever dies will die. Whatever works will work. Whatever flies will fly. Whatever fails will fail. What's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds. Whatever grows will grow. Whatever dies will die. Whatever works will work. Whatever flies will fly. Whatever fails will fail. What's meant to soar will soar. We are last time. Here we go. Whatever grows, let it grow, let it grow. If it dies, it dies alone. And when it works, it works. Let it fly, let it fly. Fails will fail. Fails will fail. Soar will soar. Let it fly. We're planting seeds and nothing more. Thank you for singing along. I don't know how much time. I want to be respectful of our time. There was one last song.
You want
It's okay?
Yes.
All right. I just wanted to see that heart pin there. There's a little heart pin. I don't know if you can see it. But here's Vishal, one of my kiddos here, and here's his mother. And this story is deeply stitched and etched in my heart for the rest of my life. In 2011 of November, the government was doing a riverfront project, meaning there's a river there, but they wanted to create this beautiful boardwalk and kind of a walk space. So what they did was, without warning, in this slum community, they came with a bulldozer and police, and they said, grab your belongings within the next half an hour, and any space 50 yards within the boardwalk, we're demolishing. So I got a phone call from Vishal's father, and he's like, this is what's happening, can you please come here? And so I quickly, I couldn't believe it, because we never got warning for this. Typically, you would get a warning notice, but this one unfortunately did not get that. There's a lot of this happening, redevelopment happening now, and they're doing much better with the warning process. But this was very difficult to digest. I go to a grocery store, get some stuff. I didn't know what to expect. I get there, it's all chaos. I couldn't find them. I call them. Eventually, they direct me. I thought everybody would be yelling, screaming, because that's what was going on around in the environment. But when I get there, they're smiling. And the first thing Vishal's mom, who's that lady right there, she sees me, she smiles, she gives me a big hug. They're just happy that I was there with them. She says, "What do you want to drink?" These were the first words that came out of her mouth. Supi, which had chai, coffee, cold drink. It means, what do you want to drink? Chai, coffee, a cold soda or something? I started laughing. I was like, are you kidding me? These are the first words coming out of your mouth in this darkest hour of your life? And it really hit me hard, and it stays with me that I feel like the gift they gave me is a deep sense of gratitude. Like, how do I never forget that? to remember that whatever it is that I have, whatever it is that I'm blessed with, to make that the foundation of my life, to walk from that space, to dance from that space. And second is, how do they have the capacity to be so compassionate and kind? And I just felt like that was a lesson that when it's hard to love,
Keep loving.
keep loving.
Keep loving.
And that's what, they had taught me. So I want to kind of end this sharing with the last song called Being Kind. And there is a line in the song that says, grab a friend and give a hug. I would have put grab a stranger and give a hug, but there was too many syllables. When I wrote that song, I was like, okay, one syllable, we'll stick with friend, because everybody should be a friend. So I would love for us, when you hear those lines, to just feel free to hug somebody and hug another person if you feel like it. The song is called Being Kind. From being kind, what's the disease? But then I sense we are fine. It'll all happen. One small step. When the world is full of violence and it needs a little kindness, I just sit and pray in silence, and God shows me the signs. Open my eyes, realize we are fine. One small act. Last night I'm walking home and the homeless man says hello with a smile to let me know that he's got a lot of hope. He says, have faith, young man, we are fine. The world is kind. Small acts we do together, even though maybe alone changes the world for the better. So we can call it home, and this is life as we know, when our hearts are aligned. The magic that unfolds, one small act at a time. Throw your hearts up, let it fly high. Let your love for all the world spread through the skies. Let it drop down, let it all go. Spreading kindness to every single living soul. Can you see your love for me shining through? Cause what you see in me, I can see in you. And soon enough, you and me will be at a time, and kindness will be all we can be. Yeah. Feeling grateful today, never thought this day would come, where I would feel it and say, each and every one of us have paved the way doing good, and now we're all just moving up. When I'm kind to you, you pay it forward. This is how we build trust. Never had faith, but now I'm seeing you eye to eye. Wanna give you my life, wanna spread love before I die. Thank you, God, for finally letting me realize when I serve man, I'm really serving you. In the sky, smiles everywhere, cause now everybody's got the bug. Ain't no life without the love. If it is, it ain't no fun. What we gonna do? Now just grab a friend and give a hug. Spread it out real wide so everyone can be touched. Throw your hearts up, let it fly high. Let your love for all the world spread through the skies. Let it drop down, let it all go. Spreading kindness to every single living soul. Can you see your love from me shining through? Cause what you see in me, I can see in you. And soon enough, you and me will be at a time, and kindness will be all we can leave behind. All we can leave behind. For you and I, kindness is all we can leave behind. All we can leave behind. You and I, kindness is all we can leave behind.
They told